If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
I've never felt like this before. It's like you just get me. I feel like my true self with you. Does that sound crazy? And it doesn't hurt that you're gorgeous. Okay, that's it. I'm taking you home with me. I mean, you can't find shoes this good just anywhere. Find a shoe for every you from brands you love, like Birkenstock, Nike, Adidas, and more at your DSW store or dsw.com.
It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
We'll go slide right into things. Got all sorts of cool people cruising through the hall here at iHeart, you know. That's one of the things I love about this place. So we'll meet some of them a little bit later in the show, but right now I've got a very big name on line one.
We're just going to start picking random people from the hallways?
Yeah, that's the point. You can pick random people. Everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody's a minor celebrity at minimum, maybe a major celebrity here at iHeart.
I'm going to go minor.
Does Ryan Seacrest come in anymore, or they do it out of his house,
Did
right?
he ever come in here?
Yeah, I don't think he has a studio.
They built him
literally
a studio, but he didn't like it because he didn't like going up the elevators with the normal people. So
Okay.
he said, I'm going to build a studio somewhere else.
It's a $1 jillion studio upstairs. Please tell me he uses it. Somebody uses it. It's under lock and key. You can't go in it. You know?
They changed it to one point to make it like a general area. But yeah.
I see. Yeah, because I haven't been up there in a while. But, man, it was nice.
He bolted out of there when he started his TV show.
Right. Yeah, he...
That, went on forever.
Sure. You're talking about the Kathy Lee and...
No.
Oh,
no, the
On Air with Ryan Seacrest?
Whatever it was called, like right after his show that was on Hollywood and...
oh, yeah, it was On Air with Ryan Seacrest, it was called. Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, that's interesting. Crozier's got a lot of good Ryan Seacrest knowledge that I didn't have.
Love me some Seacrest.
Yeah, love that Ryan. We used to text each other all the time, be in touch. We used to hang. And then he got to be a big star, And everybody wants to be around him and near him. And so I get it. You got to shake a few loose. I'm happy to be shaken. Speaking of everyone wanting to be around someone, Alex Stone from ABC News.
I'm just going to say, I bet you're in a building where people could tell you about that studio and whether he uses it or not. And, I don't know. You work for the same company. They probably could tell you.
Well, that's why I was impressed with Crozier's frankness, to be honest. I thought he showed a lot of candor there.
Who else is in the hallway? I want to know the hot goss.
Oh, you never know. That's the point. Yeah. We're on just to run this out, we're on a floor, the fourth floor, which is news, sports, information. So you're likely to get people who are in that world. So you might see athletes coming through for the sports station. You might see luminaries of some kind.
Like last week, Ice Cube was roaming around. He was doing some stuff with the FM. They pulled him down here. He was on Gary and Shannon, just roaming around the hall.
Cool, yeah.
Roaming around. That's pretty cool.
But on the fifth floor, which is kind of where they pulled Ice Cube from, the fifth floor's got all the music people. And there's Kiss FM's up there, My FM's up there, Alt's up there. So that's where I think there's a little more shimmer. Wouldn't you agree with that, Croce?
Sure. Your shimmer is my... Go ahead.
All right.
Do you guys still have that massage table thing down the hallway, kind of over by Gary and Shannon's office?
They took that out pretty quick. I think people
that's gone. I wondered about that.
Wow. That's,
that seems inappropriate in the hallway, but okay.
I agree.
Well, you didn't try it then.
It was in the hallway. I missed that day. Wow.
They put a little blockade to keep people from looking right at it. So.
Oh, my God. Wow. Alex Stone, I guess she's called the Ketamine Queen.
Yeah.
Linked to the Matthew Perry overdose. She's pleading out her situation, right?
Yeah, and she was set to go on trial in about a week and a half or so, and we kept waiting because everybody else in this had pleaded guilty, thinking, is she going to be the one that isn't going to do it? And now she's doing it. Jasmine Sangha, known by the LAPD and on the streets as a ketamine queen, and she's the final of the five defendants now who played a role. We don't have to say allegedly because they're pleading guilty now and admitting to it in Matthew Perry's death a couple of years ago. So All of the four others had already said that they were going to do it. The last one before her being the other big target of this, Dr. Salvador Plasencia, the one who was supplying the drugs before she was. But the thinking was at some point she would come around. The LAPD has so much evidence against her and selling drugs not only to Matthew Perry, but to a guy who died after taking her drugs in 2019. So in her plea agreement, she's admitting to her role in both of the deaths. And remember, they're all accused of using Matthew Perry as a big piggy bank to sell him drugs. And then U.S. Attorney, no longer, but Martin Estrada was saying,
these defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves.
And the allegation being, just to take you back a little bit, the two doctors were charging Perry $2,000 a vial for ketamine that cost them only $12 a vial. And both of the doctors, who are now pleading guilty, that at the time had texted each other saying, how much is this moron willing to spend? That he was willing to spend anything to get his fix of the ketamine and make himself feel better. But eventually $2,000 a vial was too much for Perry. And so he and his assistant, they set out to try to find somebody else who would sell it for cheaper. They found a guy named Eric Fleming who could get the drugs from Jasveen Singha. All of these people are charged in this. And Estrada said at the time, not only did Singha sell the fatal dose, but she also tried to hide her tracks and destroy evidence, which made it worse.
Sangha begins sending text messages to Fleming, a co-defendant, and telling him to delete all messages.
And Mark, she allegedly gave Perry a sample of it to prove that she wasn't giving him what they called the horsey kind, because ketamine is also a veterinary medicine, that you don't want the animal kind, you want the real human kind. And then when he liked that, she gave him 50 vials of ketamine for cash. He was just so addicted. He was willing to spend anything, telling our Diane Sawyer at the time.
Your disease is just outside, just doing one-arm push-ups, just waiting for you, waiting to get you alone.
Her attorney, who is, by the way, Mark Garagos, who is also going to be busy on Thursday and Friday for the Menendez brothers' parole hearing, says that she is coming clean, taking responsibility for actions. And, you know, really a lot of this may come down to the other defendants. Everybody else is pleading guilty. We asked our legal analyst, Brian Buckmeyer, why do this? He says, look, when everybody else has agreed they're going to testify against you as part of their plea deals because they have not yet been sentenced, they've been delaying those, so they have an incentive to testify against her, that she didn't have a real way out of this.
4 people prior to her have already pled guilty and have not been sentenced. And a part of those pleas, they agreed to cooperate in the prosecution against her. She would have had 4 co-defendants testifying against her. That would have made for a very difficult trial.
So she could get, in the end, as part of this plea deal, 65 years in prison. She's in her early 40s. That's essentially life in prison. She'll have a change of plea hearing in the coming weeks, and a sentencing hearing after that. All of these defendants have sentencing hearings from September 17th until into December. There's so many of them over the next few months. They're all going to learn their fate. But she and Dr. Salvador Plasencia, they're the big targets who will get the most time. The others, they'll get time, but not as much as them. But they were looking at like 125 years in prison. 65 years, it's essentially life, but maybe she'll get a chance to get out at some point.
Jeez, I mean, that's still, she's, looking down the barrel of a real serious bit of prison.
Yeah, in federal prison, too.
Yeah. And it was the assistant who was the go-between who really, and then as you described the network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Eric Fleming, her buddy, he was kind of hey, I can hook you up and be the middle person here to do the drug dealing, so they weren't doing it directly. And there were, if you remember, Iwamasa was injecting him with just a ton of this stuff that he wanted the big push at the end when he was in his spa in his backyard. And it was that final one that he was getting so much of it, his body couldn't take it any longer, and he went under the water and wasn't breathing.
Yeah, died in the hot tub. So sad. Yeah. Wow. Well, so that, in a sense, closes the book on this in terms of all those involved in the death of Matthew Perry.
It does. I mean, it really will when they get their sentences. But yeah, this is the last defendant to claim that she was innocent and that she didn't do it. Now she fully admits in this plea deal that she was responsible for not only his death, but the victim in 2019 as well, and that she was dealing a lot of drugs. The LAPD, I mean, they found a ton of stuff in her apartment, and she was a big supplier on the streets. And if you ever looked at back before it was all down, her social media, she was in the high-end party scene of celebrities and around celebrities and in the clubs and whatnot. It was clearly making a lot of money, but also it was this image that she was putting off of being the celebrity drug dealer. I'm surprised that they didn't look in her
sooner,
but yeah, into her client list.
I see.
And maybe they didn't, or maybe they will, or there's no reason to, but find out who those clients were.
Yeah, I mean, she's super high profile. You're absolutely right. I mean, they're magazine spreads about the kind of glossy life that she led.
Yeah.
As a result of this, just a real tragedy, though, and as you say, kind of it's over, at least in terms of the plea agreements. Wow, Alex Stone, thanks for the update. Appreciate that.
You got it. Thanks, Mark.
We'll talk soon. Alex Stone from ABC News. When we come back, Michael Monks joins us, and we talk about the housing bill and the city council opposing this latest effort. And we'll get into some of the specific with Monks as we continue.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
That was not a song, Ketamine Queen. No, it's Caribbean Queen. It's not Ketamine Queen. I'm hearing people in the hallways, wasn't that a song? No, that was not a song. The Ketamine Queen of Los Angeles pleading guilty, and that's the end of the Matthew Perry case. That story from Alex Stone a moment ago. Now, Michael Monks with a controversial housing bill. And the deal is, just to kind of set the backdrop, because I'm the fine professional that I am, Michael Monks, there's pressure to have more housing close to transit, mass transit. That's sort of like overall general desire on the part of legislators and the part of communities. The problem is you can get a little too aggressive about that. And this new bill that's being introduced is getting opposition here in L.A. from the city council because they want to essentially move a lot of this residential housing. I'm not trying to take away what you're about to say, but I just want to set the table, all right?
I yield.
I'm table setting
I
right now.
yield.
Okay, all right. But what they may be too aggressive, I think, is the thinking, and you're taking over transit authority land to build all of this housing. So that's more or less as I understand it. Is that kind of true?
Yeah, it's exactly true. Okay. And this is a bill that has gotten a lot of attention, even here on our airwaves. You've probably heard various segments on the Cobelt Show, for example. He's had some folks on with some concerns about the Palisades redevelopment post-wildfire and what this piece of legislation could mean for it. Some advocates that support Senate Bill 79 say this wouldn't impact the Palisades at all. What they're talking about with Senate Bill 79 is to make it easier to build residential housing, in some cases up to 7 stories. We're talking pretty good-sized buildings next to train stations and high-trafficked bus stops. Think express buses and those sorts of things, with the idea being, 1, California needs more housing, and 2, you can move to the suburbs without a vehicle if you live next to a mass transit stop, because it connects you to the rest of the city. What I found today at LA City Hall was nobody disputes those facts, that 1, LA needs more housing, and 2, they all seem to support public transportation in general. So connecting those two makes sense. What they are concerned about, the people who voted to oppose this bill formally, is that Sacramento would take control of zoning, basically, whereas zoning is typically done at the very local level, especially in LA, where there are various districts that pay attention to how various lots and developments are supposed to look.
So this is a jurisdictional issue. It's not a philosophical issue.
I think that's how it was framed. And this was not an overwhelming vote. This was an 8-5 vote. 2 members were absent, so there were 13 members of council present during this argument. 8 voted to approve this resolution to make the city of Los Angeles on record in opposition to this bill. 5 members voted against that. They didn't necessarily say we support Senate Bill 79 the way it is, but we want to keep an open mind about these things. The members who voted against, it's kind of hard to talk about. We're talking about a resolution in opposition to a piece of legislation, and the people in opposition to the resolution in opposition.
That's right.
So
it is weird.
It's hard to detangle all of that or untangle all of that. But the members who basically are at least open to Senate Bill 79 say, look, you just don't want density in your neighborhoods. You just don't want apartment buildings in your neighborhoods. It's basically a classic fight of this new civil war that we've got going on in zoning and development, the NIMBYs versus the YIMBYs.
Sure. And that I love that you mentioned Palisades, because as they rebuild Palisades, there is a lot of this being played out in those details.
And there are no trains that go to Pacific Palisades. So it's not entirely irrelevant because Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez, who spoke against Senate Bill 79 and voted for this resolution to be formally against it, made a really good point. She said she represents the Northeast San Fernando Valley. There's not a lot of train access out that way yet, but there is supposed to be in the future. They are in the planning stages for extending light rail out through the San Fernando Valley. She says this bill would allow for developments in her district even before the tracks are laid. And so with the track record that California and even local metro has, it's possible that you could see some pretty large-scale developments that neighbors don't necessarily want and never get the transit to match it.
That is the most California thing. For if they were to build the housing with the idea that it's going to be there close to the commute route, and the commute route never goes in.
It's absolutely right. You know, one of the things that people ask me as a guy who decided to live in downtown Los Angeles is, why would you do that? It was because of this in a lot of ways. Like, I'm not coming here to California with a car, and that's a crazy thing to do. But if I'm downtown, I can live in a densely populated neighborhood with a lot of offerings and mass transit that can blast out to just about every other corner. There are suburbs that could benefit from an expansion of metro and public transportation options, but you have to have the housing to match. But the people who are against this particular piece of legislation make the point that residents don't necessarily want to see developments that are out of scale with the rest of the neighborhood, and they want to have a say in what goes there.
I mean, it's a reasonable point.
I find the arguments on this legislation to be really fascinating. I think there are interesting takes from both sides on this. There's no question that more public transportation is needed, and better and cleaner and safer public transportation. But more than that, more housing appears to be needed all over the country, but especially here in Los Angeles and in California, to make the prices go down.
On a 10 scale, since you ride mass transit all the time, where would you put mass transit? 10 being, it's incredible, I love it, I wish I could live on mass transit.
Oh, in Los Angeles specifically, I would tell you this. It is on paper a really fine system. It's not as old as New York's, right? New York has been doing this for a long time, and that's why you do not need a car in New York City. You can get just about every single corner. You can depend on that, and you can rely on it. People of all different economic levels will ride mass transit in New York. LA is new to it. The first train tracks were laid in like 89 or 90. It opened up. It's barely 35 years old at this point. So it's still new and it's still expanding. So it cannot take you to as many places as one would like to go in Los Angeles. And two, it just strikes me that they are not serious enough about the antisocial behavior that takes place. And not just the criminality, but the stuff that makes people uncomfortable. They don't clean it enough, and they don't keep certain types of behavior off the train. So when I cannot always advocate for people to take it, because I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But it's good. I can get where I needed to go. I can get to Burbank. I can get to the front door of this station by taking the Beeline train from downtown and then a Burbank bus. And it's a guaranteed 35, 40-minute trip every day. That's
pretty great.
It's not bad.
Yeah. And if you can just dodge some of the socially unacceptable behavior.
Exactly. It certainly beats sitting on the 110 or the 134 or the 5.
Yeah. Well, this is fascinating, this bill, as you say. It's a jurisdiction.
We haven't heard the last of it.
Yeah, so more to come. Michael Monks, thank you.
My pleasure.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Crazy story, and I feel like this is one of those things that could happen to any of us, which always makes it a little more interesting to me. And it's a significant amount of money involved. The guy was essentially charged $17,000 on his credit card. It turns out that he calls United Airlines and, don't take my word for it. It's a complex tale that, as I say, it could happen to any of us, apparently. And I didn't even know that this entire thing, which is a scam, is so difficult to figure out as a scam when it's happening.
Initially, and I can't blame them. I don't think they believed me.
I didn't.
Yeah. It was like, okay, buddy, sure.
When Dan Smoker emailed Steve on your side, he thought he was waiting for a refund from United for a failed attempt at rebooking a flight.
It was going to be 18 days going all over Europe, doing a Mediterranean cruise.
Their flight from DIA to London got canceled, so Dan spent an entire morning on the phone with United trying to rebook. First, he attempted to get United to book his family on a partner airline.
If you pay for the ticket, we'll just refund you.
Dan says the representative named David put him on hold for a while, came back, and said he couldn't book the other flight, but Dan's card was already charged for more than $17,000. He promised a refund and got the family on another flight.
I got an email from the person spelling out exactly what I was getting refunded for.
Months passed and that refund never came. Dan was getting no answers, so he contacted us.
It was actually you that brought up the possibility of it being a scam.
He's right, because when I read that refund email, I spotted red flags almost immediately. Like, the email didn't come from a United email address. The format is weird, some numbers with zeros in front of.
Wow. This is the kind of thing that I feel, A, targets seniors and those who aren't as tech savvy, and B, even though it targets seniors, could happen to absolutely any of us. I've been sucked in by these emails and these text communications also. Anyway, apparently when you actually scrutinize the email, you can see that it's not all legit.
The email didn't come from a United email address. The format is weird, some numbers with zeros in front of them, dollars always listed in USD, dates with the day in front of the month. I figured Dan had been taken advantage of. Thought maybe he'd Google the number for United, a common way that thieves trick people. But he didn't.
I was on with United's official customer support number.
Dan's call log shows he only called United's actual customer service line, 1-800-UNITED-1.
This is where the story gets really intriguing to me. Because how can he legitimately contact United Airlines and end up in the hands of scammers?
He only called United's actual customer service line, 1-800-UNITED-1. Even lists a 3-hour phone conversation, the one where Dan says David took that $17,000.
The more I looked into it, the more clear it became that it was a scam via United system somehow. How that happened, I have no idea.
Steve on your side contacted United, who told us they have record of Dan's calls that morning.
The one they do have, which is the same as the one that I talked to David for over 3 hours, 3 hours and 18 minutes, they show as a 13-minute call. And they say that at that point, I had dropped off, and they don't have any further recording.
But Dan's call log shows that call continued for hours.
I got put on hold by that person. It was a female. And then the next person that come back was David.
United did tell us the number David left in that refund email called into their call center too the same morning, which makes sense.
David is ultimately the one that got us on the flight via Newark. That got us to London.
Dan's credit card statement shows a bunch of...
All right, so David is legit in all of this is the point. But I don't understand at what point he jumps the tracks to the scammers.
Dan's credit card statement shows a bunch of charges marked as United for seat upgrades on the flight they eventually got on. But it also shows that $17,000 charge to a generic company called Airline Fare.
I did dispute the charge.
Oh, wow, they really go right after it, right on the nose.
Airline Fare.
Okay, man, that's a...
Airline Fare.
All right.
I did dispute the charge with my credit card. You know, it's not even about United paying the $17,000.
Dan just wants to know how he called United and got David.
A United spokesperson told us that they've been...
He's pretty cool. It's not even about the $17K, man. It's
not
the
$17,000.
Wow.
Dan just wants to know how he called United and got David.
A United spokesperson told us that they've been in contact with Dan and they're now reviewing the matter thoroughly, though they wouldn't tell us more about how that call ended up getting to David in the first place.
Sorry, that's the whole game. how did a legitimate call to United Airlines, end up jumping the tracks, as I say, to a scammer? How does a scammer get into a call between a service agent at United Airlines and a customer to United Airlines? That's the entire question.
Though they wouldn't tell us more about how that call ended up getting to David in the first place. And Dan told us today the representative he's been working with said that they won't be able to share any details of any security investigations with him.
I wonder if that's a viability issue, because it could be a broader problem than just this guy.
I'm Steve Stager. Steve on your side.
Yeah.
9 News.
Yeah, Steve on your side. Steve very much on the side of Dan in this case. $17,000. Now, he reported it as fraud, and I would think that the credit card company will recognize it as clear fraud. But nonetheless, it is a wild story. I mean, all of us have stories about being on with the airlines, and you might be there for an hour and a half talking to an agent, because if you've gotten to a point where you can't resolve it online and you actually need to contact an agent, you need to hash it out with them. But the idea somehow that, they put you on hold and then somebody else comes on the line and they turn out to be a scammer, I mean, that's frankly one of the more sophisticated scams I've heard of. All the way down to airline fare, which was the way the company lists the $17,000 charge. Wild. The beatdown at the Rose Bowl. We'll give you the latest on that. It's the Conway Show. Mark Thompson sitting in for Tim.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's going to be hot as Hades around here. Man, it is going to be. I'm just seeing in the valley, they're looking at temperatures. I don't know why I say they. I'm talking about me. Temperatures at around 103, 105, 106. I told you the power company came to us just 2 days ago and informed us, because the timing is always so impeccable, that they have to shut the power off for the day on Saturday. I'm just looking at the 5-day outlook, and the 5-day outlook, which is on one of the enormous monitors here at the KFI Nerve Center of Information, it says 104. So I don't know what that equates to a home that has had no power or air conditioning since 7 a.m., but I'm guessing it might. So now we're making plans to try to, But I have my ancient cat. He's 18. I can't move him. The last surviving cat of that graduating class. So that's our problem. I don't know what your situation will be, but we're all going to be in this situation where there's going to be excruciating heat. It's the biggest heat wave of the year, is what they're saying. So be aware, it's already begun. I mean, we're in the 90s now, but it continues up. Now, yesterday, Crozier was saying, I thought it was yesterday you were saying that maybe it was Thursday that it would peak, but it looks like it's going to, I guess you're right. And now I'm seeing Thursday it peaks and then it kind of plateaus. So it kind of depends who you're watching or where you're going to be. Like
you, sir, are the weather guy, not me.
I know.
I did. They did extend it a little bit more. They said it was only going to be, when I looked yesterday, it had said like Thursday was going to be the peak, another 5 degrees tomorrow, another 5 degrees on Thursday, and then maybe a degree or so down on Friday. But it looks like they're, like you say, they're stretching out that heat a little bit into Saturday, and it's going to be even slower to cool down getting into the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. There's no real break, I don't see, on into the weekend. So,
but by the time Sunday, they say, comes around, they're expecting to be 5 to 10 degrees cooler.
Yeah, that's so good when that sea breeze punches through.
So it looks like Friday might be the peak now with a real slow cool down after that.
The mountains could get some rain, actually, in the afternoon hours because they get that, enough moisture and all that heat heats up that moisture, but that's in the mountains. This situation at the Rose Bowl is insane. The video's up on our Instagram at KFI. And it's a guy positively pummeling a woman at this concert at the Rose Bowl on Saturday.
Disturbing video. It's going viral on social media here. It shows a violent attack that happened Saturday night at the sold-out Rufus Du Sol concert at the Rose Bowl. A woman punched in the face, knocked unconscious. 2 others viciously punched by that outraged man.
And by the way, I mean, he punches, and then he's just putting this beat down on this poor woman. In other words, there's no off switch on this guy. He is clearly just a rage-filled dude. It was an extraordinary thing to witness. As I say, it's on our Instagram, KFI AM 640.
It's crazy to see when you look at comments online, people saying, oh, and nobody does anything. No guys step in there, no pulls off. I had a incident last week in my neighborhood where a guy started beating on his kid, and I was right there. And you're assessing the moment and whether or not, how much, if at all, you get involved. And we had Rick Chambers in here for the whole Foosh thing from KTLA. And Tim always talks about, he remembers when Rick Chambers started, that was when the incident took place in Prim, Nevada with a little girl that was killed by the teenage boys around 97. Mm-hmm. And they created laws because there were 2 guys involved at that, 2 teenagers. And the friend, who apparently wasn't involved with that murder at the time, saw kind of the beginning of what was happening, and he left. And he was never charged with anything. And consequently, they created these laws that said you are required by law to involve yourself in some way, whether it's, call authorities or something like that, if you see someone in imminent danger because of that. So it's like you say, when you see an incident like this at the Rose Bowl and a woman's getting attacked, you assess the situation. How much am I going to get the beat down?
Yeah.
But there is a level of, your involvement and how much of a danger that is to you.
I love that you mentioned this because the situation was thick with people. I mean, there were people everywhere. In fact, that was one of the issues, that they overbooked this venue.
Yeah.
And as a result, you have people on top of each other. Everybody's maybe potentially irritated. Everybody's inebriated, potentially.
People have been saying that they had 2 different security companies involved with this place, and they were not communicating between each other. So it was just bedlam, and people were in the aisles where normally they wouldn't be, and nobody could move in or out.
I mean, again, this guy repeatedly throwing punches at this woman who's already been knocked out. Truly alarming.
All of it captured on video. Eyewitnesses say it all started when someone accidentally spilled a drink on him, and despite their profuse apologies, the man got angry and then violent. Pasadena police say someone did file a report. Thanks to the video, they already have multiple leads on the identity of this man.
I mean, the video is so clear. This isn't one of those situations in which, oh my gosh, I can't quite make out what his face looks like. You can clearly see what this guy looks like. So I would think that they're
so violent. The band Rufus Du Sol posting a message about the violence tonight saying, quote, this type of behavior is completely unacceptable anywhere. And the fact this happened at one of our shows was devastating to learn about. Local law enforcement is actively investigating the situation. Anyone with information should please contact Pasadena Police.
Again, if you want to see a picture of this guy, you can see it on our Instagram at KFI AM 640. But, again, to Crozier's point, I mean, what's been stated with 2 security details there, that is to say 2 outside security vendors handling this venue, this kind of thing shouldn't happen. And it does affect the group. It affects more than just this incident and more than just this venue.
As much as you see stuff online and how available these videos and things are, still, when you see something like this, it just gives you that visceral kind of gut-churning feeling like, oh, if I were there type feeling.
Yeah, yeah. But there you saw all these people around, and as you say, your assessment has to be done in an instant.
Yeah.
And yet you would think reflexively, it's like, hey, God, hey, at least you would do that. You would grab him or say something or, try to get somebody's attention. I mean, this was brutal. Anyway, that situation continues, and they still haven't positively ID'd that guy, which, again, to me strikes me as maybe they're just not saying that they positively ID'd him because his face is very clearly displayed in the video. When we come back, there is newly released video showing A Southwest pilot admitting to drinking 3 beers before the failed sobriety test. I don't know why I'm chuckling. It's of concern. There was a Kimmel Corolla bit from years ago that involved something similar, and I will share that with you. It was both alarming and amusing at the same time.
Girls on trampolines?
No, it was that show, but a different bit.
Oh.
Mark Thompson here for Tim Conway Jr., KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.